everyone, Gnome, and welcome to your September 2017 episode of Out of the Vault. If you are new to my show, of course, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you. And to all of you returning, it is always great to have you guys listen to my thoughts on various Disney films, especially in the world of animation. We're actually going back to the Disney Canon Classics today, and we're going to be talking about the 37th film in the Disney Classic Canon Library from 1999. And that, of course, is based on a classic book, and it had been done so many times in Hollywood, whether it was television shows or whether it was films. But this time we get to see the King of the Jungle, the King of the Apes, in an animated Disney film, and that, of course, is Tarzan. When I went to go see this movie, I was just graduating from high school. This was a movie that I was very excited to see because I always loved going to see Disney classic films. So I thought that I was going to really have a good time in this movie, and when I went to see it in theaters, I did. I thought that it was a very good movie, and to some people actually consider this one the final film in the Disney Renaissance. And it had been a long time since I had seen this movie. I mean, my mother actually bought this for my little sister on VHS cassette when it came out on home video release, and I watched it numerous times after I saw it in theaters and still really enjoyed it. But seeing this movie again for the first time in a while, I really had no idea exactly how groundbreaking this movie was. Not necessarily from the story perspective and just an overall movie, but the production value was definitely something to behold. The animation in this film is truly spectacular. It is a beautiful blend of 2D cell animation and 3D animation. And one of the few things that is really incredible when you watch this movie very carefully is the fact that they have the ability to rotate the proverbial camera, if you will. They're giving you all of these 360-degree angles of these characters interacting with each other. Also, one of the best parts is when Tarzan is actually going through the jungle, swinging on vines and climbing trees. It was actually inspired by surfers and skateboarders and rollerbladers, so you get a little bit of a modern twist to the character himself while he's going through the jungle. But from an animation perspective, it is definitely cool to watch, and that is definitely one of the best parts of the film. I also love the really lush backgrounds of animation. It looks like this jungle is really dark and deep and filled with all different kinds of creatures and greenery, and it is just mind-blowing from an animation perspective. From a film perspective, in terms of characters, the characters are great. The interaction between Tarzan and his mother, played by Glenn Close, is wonderful. Also, when you see him play up against many drivers, Jane is also really great. Even the antagonist Clayton is fun to watch. He's got some great moments. And there are also some side characters that people would find fun, but for me, that would be probably one of the few downfalls of the movie. Watching this movie again, you had Rosie O'Donnell as the Gorilla Turk, and you also had Wayne Knight voicing Tantor the Elephant. They have some really cute moments, but when I really look at this movie now as a whole, especially as an adult, I kind of feel that they were not necessarily needed. I mean, they were pretty much there for the kids, and they were pretty much there for comic relief, but everything else about the movie really overshadows those two characters, and it makes the movie, I guess, a little bit dumbed down, because there are some moments in this movie that are extremely powerful, because it's the story of a boy who was taken in by this family of gorillas because of a tragedy that took place when he was a baby. And the fact that he is trying so hard to belong with these gorillas. There are just some, especially the head of the pack, who's also his adoptive father, Kerchak, who just doesn't like him because he doesn't feel that he belongs, and he feels that he's going to bring the tribe danger. And when Tarzan finally interacts with humans and he starts learning about modern society, he starts to question where exactly he belongs. It's a very powerful film about self-discovery and coming of age to a certain degree, and I feel that that's one of the main messages that will be taken away from this film. But like I said, the comic relief is really secondary in this movie. And another thing that I could say is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not necessarily the greatest thing ever, is the fact that you have a lot of songs sung by Phil Collins. It's not the traditional Disney fare where the characters are actually singing with each other and turning it into a little bit more of a musical. Maybe that's because that was not Disney's angle in this film, but you have Phil Collins singing a couple of songs like You'll Be in My Heart and Son of Man, which is one of my favorites among others. They're great songs, but it just doesn't feel like they fit the overall vibe of the film. But is this a movie that is great to see? Absolutely. It's one of my favorite Disney classics. I own it. I'm planning to watch it millions more times because it is probably one of the more underrated classics. There are so many people when it comes to the Disney Renaissance that talk about Beauty and the Beast, talk about The Little Mermaid, talk about Aladdin. Heck, they talk about Mulan sometimes, even Hercules, but they rarely ever mention Tarzan. Give this movie a watch based on the great merits that I've mentioned, and I think you'll see this film in a different light. I'm going to be giving Tarzan a 3.5 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. It was a pleasure to talk Disney with you guys as always, so put your comments in the box below, and let's discuss Tarzan, and I will see you in the next episode. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.